Music anime are a dime a dozen nowadays, from idol-focused gacha adaptations to light-hearted slice-of-life stories that also happen to involve some guitar. Every other season, there seems to be more and more anime delving into the world of music. While there have been some excellent shows like Bocchi the Rock or Girls Band Cry, nothing comes close to the quintessential music anime, Beck Mongolian Chop Squad. Yukio Tanaka, or Koyuki as his friends call him, is a typical 14-year-old middle schooler who doesn't really fit in. He doesn't really have anything that motivates or excites him until one day when he protects a grumpy-looking messed up dog named Beck from local kids trying to chase after it. He meets the dog's owner, Ryusuke, a long-haired 16-year-old teenager who is living at his grandma's rundown fishing hole and plays guitar in a promising band that has been performing at local clubs. After becoming quick friends and seeing Ryusuke play live, Koyuki starts listening to new music, quickly broadening his horizons and picking up a guitar himself. Practicing scales and chords, he slowly works to improve himself while meeting new friends and immersing himself into the local hard rock and punk scene. Becoming close with Ryusuke's sister Maho, who discovers that he also has an incredible singing voice. Ryusuke, on the other hand, is on the search for a new band after his last one broke up, so he links up with an exceptionally skilled bass player named Taira and a crass but energetic singer named Chiba and form the titular band Beck, named in honor of Ryusuke's dog, which Chiba had the idea for. Though in universe and out of it, this causes a lot of confusion as Jeff Beck was an iconic guitar player for the Yardbirds. There's also just the solo artist Beck, who had a number of hits in the 90s and also did the soundtrack for Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. And when the anime Scott Pilgrim Takes Off came out, there was a reference to Beck Mongolian Chop Squad's opening in the opening for Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, which is funny because Beck, the solo artist, did all the music for Sex Bomb, who has the reference in the Scott Pilgrim anime, so it's like Beck referencing Beck. It's very funny. I thought it's a weird little connection there, but anyway. Getting back to Koyuki, he has spent over a year practicing, his obsession with music leading to a fast friendship with Saku, a fellow music nerd he meets at school. Together, they end up joining Beck as well, with Koyuki becoming the rhythm guitarist / secondary singer, and Saku becoming the drummer. And with these additions, the band starts to really feel more complete. Everyone's sensing something just clicking when they practice together, a vibe that you can't really put into words. Even though Koyuki and Saku are rough around the edges, everything feels right. Their journey is filled with highs and many lows, following Koyuki as he goes from middle to high school, getting picked on, looked down upon, his grades dropping as he focuses more and more time on practicing getting better at guitar. But he gains confidence, friends, writes songs, plays shows, and immerses himself in the early 2000s Tokyo alternative music scene, finally finding what he wants to do with his life and pursuing it no matter what it takes. What sets Beck apart from every other music anime I've seen is the wide variety of people that Koyuki meets. Colorful characters like Mr. Saito, a middle-aged former Olympic swimmer who is a brutal swim instructor, but out of the water, he's a kind and mild-mannered man who loves British invasion rock and helps Koyuki play his first ever show. Or Takano, an incredibly talented guitar player in tech whose aspirations of being in a band signed to a label have fallen short and currently owns his own guitar shop. Every member of the band as well feels so fully fleshed out, like Ryusuke, a broke womanizer who grew up in America before coming to Japan. His guitar playing is second to none, always rocking his bullet-ridden Gibson Les Paul Lucille. It's prudence in the English dub for copyright reasons, as Lucille is a reference to B.B. King, who named his Gibson guitars Lucille. There's a whole story behind that. Very interesting. You should look up B.B. King. He's a legendary blues guitar player. But because there's a copyright there, they had to change it to prudence. So copyright ruins another reference. Way to go. International copyright laws, I guess. I don't know. Ryusuke is the driving force behind the band, who sees something special in Koyuki, who is ready and willing to put his life on the line for a chance at spreading his music. He is hardcore. Chiba, the singer, is the soul of the band, his bombastic energy making it impossible to ignore. His look and style are directly inspired by Zach De La Roche of Rage Against the Machine, his punk and hip-hop inspired delivery giving Beck an edge you rarely see in music that hits an anime. Match that with his ride-or-die attitude for the band and his bandmates, always sticking up for Koyuki and protecting him from bullies, always ready to throw a punch for his friends. He's not the brightest, but he's loyal, and definitely the kind of guy you want having your back. As the bass player, Taira acts as the secret glue that keeps the whole band together, like most bass players do. His funky slap bass sound and shirtless stage presence are obvious homages to Red Hot Chili Peppers bassist Flea, and his bass is amazingly audible in many of Beck's songs. clearing the low but surprisingly hard bar of actually utilizing a bass player appropriately. He's even-tempered, responsible, extremely talented, and commonly the voice of reason. He acts as the more responsible role model for the younger members of the band, and is the reason the band exists at all. Tyra's the kind of character that doesn't get the most screen time, doesn't have a lot of storylines dedicated to what's going on in his life, but he is the reason Beck exists. If Tyra wasn't going to join, if Tyra didn't give his approval, Beck wouldn't be around, so he is a very important member, like all bass players are. One of those younger members, though, is Saku, Koyuki's classmate, who is luckily also the most precious and sought-after treasure for any burgeoning rock band, a skilled drummer. Saku is Koyuki's best friend. Being the same age, they connect and understand each other better than the older, more experienced members of the band. He's typically pretty quiet, but he's always reliable, and like Chiba, he always has his friends back, and you can't ask for anything more than that. Lastly, Koyuki, our protagonist. He's not the best guitar player, skilled for how new he is, but still rough around the edges, but his endless determination and beautiful singing voice make him a key draw to Beck. While Chiba's singing brings that power and energy that punches the audience in the face, Koyuki's singing helps to captivate them, giving brief moments of reprieve before Chiba takes back up the mic and kicks the crowd back into overdrive. Each member has their own role to fill, and the chemistry between every member makes them feel like they're a real group of friends that you're watching grow from playing dive bars to festivals. You see them argue, fight, stick their necks out for one another, and work together tirelessly to reach their dream. I think the magic in Beck is that the band, while clearly talented from the jump, face a number of realistic obstacles, like the dwindling mainstream popularity in the early 2000s for their genre of music, or rivalries with former bandmates and pompous producers. When they do have their moments of success, there's always a counterweight to go along with it to remind them of the harsh realities of trying to make it in the music industry. You can feel the band teetering near the edge of a big break, knowing that they have that potential, but that the time just isn't right. Not yet. The story bringing you right back down to earth to remind Koyuki that his guitar playing is still passable at best, or that while one show can go well, the band has to build on that with bigger shows, bigger crowds, and actually make any semblance of money to split between the five of them that doesn't just get reinvested right back into paying for a place to practice or replacing broken equipment. I've mentioned a few times before that I used to play bass fresh out of high school. Getting active in my local alt-rock, metal, and punk scene helped me meet tons of people, see band after band playing their heart out, seeing acts that blew me away, but since they never recorded anything that I'm unable to listen to ever again, and this is like right before YouTube became big, so there's not a lot of footage of any of these bands ever playing. But that was a time where I was making lifelong memories, meeting artists give everything they can to make what they could, even though this wasn't going to be a career for them. You could still feel their passion and the talent that they had. Seeing an extraordinary bass player like Tyra working a job directing traffic at night reminds me of the most talented guitar player I ever knew working the night shift at Safeway restocking shelves. That reality that no matter how skilled you are as a musician, you gotta pay the bills at the end of the day. Beck gives you that perfect balance of the sweet highs watching our Koyuki sing his heart out with the bitter reality of his uncertain future and what he might have to risk to pursue his dream. Is it worth it to let his grades slip like this, to give up so much for a career that is so uncertain, for an industry that is so brutal and cutthroat? I remember watching Beck and reading the manga in this phase of my life, knowing that I wasn't destined for musical greatness, but feeling taken away by Koichi's journey and his path to making a living doing what he loved and expressing himself through his art. There was this unmistakable love for music and music culture that permeates throughout this story. With constant references to legendary bands or places, the mangaka Harold Sakuishi makes you feel like you're along for the ride, learning more about the expansive world of music along with Koyuki. While there are many references to real-life bands, Sakuishi also adds his own creations that give you a feel for who Beck is playing with and up against as they try to find their own path in the music industry. For example, there's a sellout pop rock band named Bellam, which was started by one of Ryusuke's former bandmates. A band filled with talented musicians whose sole focus is fame and money, the heart of their music coming second to the ability to get rich. You get an amazing feel for the type of sounds each band has, even in the manga, a famously silent medium. Well, until they can get greeting card technology to work with the pages, I guess, but that seems a little far off at this point. This is achieved through Sakuishi's beautiful illustrations, character designs, and the way you can see the crowd react to each and every song. The crowd reflecting the energy of the band right onto the reader. Take Chiba and Tyra, for example. Tyra's slap bass style of playing clearly evokes the bass playing of Flea, so if you know any Red Hot Chili Peppers, you can almost hear what his bass lines must sound like, and Members of the audience reference this while he's playing, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy is that funky. So it gives you an idea of what this should sound like, even though you can't hear it. While Chiba's similarities to Zach De La Roche make it a breeze to imagine the anger and fury of Rage Against the Machine's iconic frontman coming out of his mouth. The manga guides you to check these bands out and hear for yourself what Beck could sound like, allowing the reader to conjure up the music in their own mind. But then again, when you have an anime adaptation, why try to guess when you can just listen for yourself? The music is naturally one of the biggest strong suits of this adaptation. From the iconic opening, hit in the USA by Beat Crusaders, to the hard-hitting original tracks, which are also actually mostly written and done by Beat Crusaders, with the voice actors providing the vocals for their respective characters. Every track perfectly fits into these moments, from Beck's bombastic Chiba-led songs like Spice of Life, to Koyuki's more emotional songs Slip It Out. These songs aren't perfect, but if I saw a local band playing music like this, then they'd definitely be on my radar as something special. As the shows go on, members of the band hone their sound, Koyuki making his own songs and growing their identity. Like in the early 80s, I doubt people in those dingy LA clubs thought Metallica would be the next big thing, or that Kurt Cobain barely scraping by in Olympia would inspire generations. They all had starts, edges to their sound, songs that excited and engaged people, but were just hints at the greatness laying in front of them. They were the beginning of something great. It's these aspects that turn this from a pure power fantasy of a kid just becoming a great musician to the story of a boy practicing day in and day out for years and still only starting to become a passable musician, carried by older, more experienced band members who support and cultivate his love of music. They all see in each other the potential to be great, and they work tirelessly to make their dreams a reality, helping to push each other to go further. You feel that sense of connectivity between every member of the band and the members of the community that come together to support them and root for them. No other music anime I have seen does this. None. Beck feels more like a collection of anecdotes from a band's autobiography, like Get in the Van by Henry Rollins about his time in Black Flag, than a typical music anime. There is this unmistakable grit and roughness to the scene, the characters' personalities, their music, the bands they play and fight against. It has humanity, imperfections that you so rarely get to see, and other more polished stories that feel like they're trying so hard to be brand acceptable, that has struggles with characters that don't really meet the moment of what really happens out there, what music scenes, what trying hard to be an artist is really like. This brings me to Bocchi the Rock, an anime I adore for its music as well. But it is a cute girls doing cute things anime, a subtype of anime based around cute, non-threatening characters exploring their love of a hobby. I find it lacks the willingness or desire to truly embrace what rock music is. That sense of rebellion, anger, frustration, sadness, and joy that permeates throughout rock, ever since it was the blues. Now, don't get me wrong, Bocchi the Rock is great at what it is. I have a whole video talking about what I love about it, but I want to contrast what sets Beck apart from all others like it. The mangaka's obsession with music is so clear that it fills nearly every scene, especially if you read the manga and see the near endless album cover parodies. This love has informed their art in ways you just can't copy unless you also become an obsessive encyclopedia of music knowledge. Honestly, the most accurate thing to compare Beck to would be other series that are also so obsessed and dedicated to their art. Blue Period being the first one that pops to my mind, where both protagonists start listless but soon find their inspiration in their art, which in the case of Yatora is painting. Here, like in Beck, you get to soak in that beautiful feeling of someone falling in love with their art, becoming obsessed by it, and along the way learning more about that art form and the many ways people express themselves through it. It makes it seem accessible while also understanding how difficult it is to become the master of that particular craft. Carol and Tuesday, a highly underrated Shinichiro Watanabe series, the guy who created Cowboy Bebop and many other fantastic series, is one of my personal favorite music anime. It focuses on two girls in a future where mankind has started to colonize Mars, and these two women obsessed with music meet and decide to create a band. There's a lot going on in this series, like how Tuesday's mom is incredibly rich and also a Martian Donald Trump stand-in.
I will deport all illegal immigrants.
It's a fun series, though due to these other elements that go on, it's not as focused on the music scene and struggles of an artist to start learning how to play an instrument, but it's absolutely worth the time to check out if you enjoy Beck, because you get to see two people fall in love with music and become close friends that push each other to new limits together. So that if you want that togetherness, that sense of a band, Carol and Tuesday has that in spades. Lastly, this isn't an anime, but there is an exciting new manga coming out right now called The Band by Harold Sakuishi, which if you didn't catch that's the creator of Beck, back again with a new music-based manga. It started its run last year in 2024, and I have adored it so far. It follows a young boy named Yuhei with a crescent moon-shaped guitar he got from his uncle, learning to play guitar after being motivated by a friend and driven by his memories of going to a concert as a child with his mother before she passed away. This series starts quicker than Beck, and right away I really adore the characters we've met so far. I won't spoil much, but if you do watch and enjoy Beck, or if you're already a fan of this series, then as quick as you can, you should go and read The Band. You will not be disappointed. Also, it does have some very quick little references and clues that make it clear that this is the same world as Beck, so hey, maybe we'll get a passing glimpse at our boys and see what they're up to. But this is firmly Yuhei's story, and I can't wait to see where it takes him. Because that's the best part of a well-executed series like The Band or like Beck Mongolian Chop Squad. It's the ride, the journey. Because like in real art, there is no peak, not that you can see. There's no limit, there's no timer on passion, a deadline on your dreams. Beck translates that life as an artist, that struggle to keep pushing and believing in your future, and makes it feel like it's something you're struggling with right alongside the boys. It reminds you what's important in life, the power and connection music and art has over all of us. From the big bands touring the world to a hobbyist guitar player getting a high school band back together to play a neighborhood show, you get that full spectrum. A heartfelt series that is, at its core, a sincere love letter to the power of music. If you like music, if you enjoy music and have been looking for an anime that really embodies that, then Beck Mongolian Chop Squad is absolutely an anime you should watch.